Good evening, early afternoon to some of you, depending on where you're coming and joining us from. So my name is Sarah Eckinger. I'm the Director of Student Athlete Experience and Development at NAI. We're so excited to have you with us tonight. This is our second session of Life and Athletics Education series. So last month we had Coach Cause discuss mental health. Tonight I'm very excited to have Anna Bottoms and Megan Meyer join us with Drug Free Sports International. I'll let them share a little bit more about their background and who they are. And then tonight's topic, of course, is Supplements 101. If you have others that wanted to join but were not able, this is going to be recorded and we'll, of course, have it posted on the Life and Athletics webpage on the NAI website. So that will all be listed there for you. All right. Well, I'm just going to hand it off to Megan. So let me know what you need.
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Megan Meyer. I am the Education Program Manager at Drug Free Sports. I know there are a lot of other things you could be doing today, so I'm glad you are joining us. Um, so I guess let's just hop on into it. Um, if my page will go to the next one. Okay, today we are going to go over dietary supplements, background, importance of education, caffeine. I know it's a hot topic right now, so we are going to look into that, eligibility implications, and some harm reduction we can do to keep ourselves safe. So starting off strong, what is a dietary supplement? According to the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, a dietary supplement is a product intended to supplement the diet, as just as we would have guessed. It can contain ingredients such as vitamins and minerals, protein powders, herbs and botanicals, or animal gland and tissues. These can range anywhere from cow brain to pig liver. It's sort of all over the place. With it being all over the place, there's really a big lack of evidence as to what it can do for you. And we also don't know how it can affect your hormones. And again, that increase in testosterone in your hormones could trigger a positive drug test. Dietary supplements are also not regulated by the FDA for truth in labeling or marketing. So that creates a huge gap when it comes from the manufacturer to the consumer. Every dietary supplement should include this statement on somewhere on the packaging. It's just saying that it's not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure or prevent any disease. There are so many reasons to take a dietary supplement, but as an athlete, I know these are some of the biggest ones. Your parents have told you to, you always have. I'm sure most of us here have taken a Flintstones vitamin as a kid or taken vitamin C right before we felt like we were getting sick. We may also take them to help improve our performance or even something as simple as hitting our protein goals. It is estimated that about 75% of student athletes use dietary supplements. That massive majority, it has multiple different influences. We just talked about our parents, but social media is a big factor nowadays. Social media really targets you with the ads if you're looking up specific things about how to get faster or how to trim down. Those ads are going to get you right away on Instagram. I know in my job, every single ad I have is now dietary supplements. They also really advertise towards that need. If you want to look exactly like this person or hit this specific goal, you need to use this product or else you're not going to get there. And that simply isn't the case. Um, I know if you look up supplements on TikTok, you're going to get about 200,000 search results. Those can be both ads and from different influencers marketing that supplement. Endorsements, companies will use professional athletes to advertise supplements to give that sort of safety effect. If Patrick Mahomes can take BioSteel, I can take it too. Uh, we saw this March that Celsius signed one player from every March Madness team to an NIL deal. And then we also see former pro athletes creating their own supplement brands. So here we see Shaq, but Tom Brady and multiple other previous athletes have started to do the same. Salespeople. Obviously, if you're going into a GNC or a vitamin shop, you are looking for a dietary supplement, but the workers at these stores are ultimately working off of commission. They are wanting to get you to buy as much as possible. With that being said, they don't have any true knowledge of your guys' banned substance list, so they can recommend something in good faith and it could contain banned substances. So really, they could be seen as a trustworthy person, but they ultimately are not. So, with that lack of regulation we talked about from the FDA, there are three main risks when it comes to supplementation. The first one being adulteration. It is the intentional act where a manufacturer puts ingredients in the bottle without listing them on the label. This is generally going to be pretty nefarious, and it can range from illegal steroids to even medications that should not be in supplements. So the regulation from the FDA comes post-market. If somebody or multiple people find or believe that a product is adulterated or there's an issue with it, they report it to the FDA, in which case they then go and test that product and send warning letters. At that point, multiple people have already gotten hurt from that supplement, so the damage has already been done. Risk number two is cross-contamination, which is the unintentional act where ingredients appear in the bottle without listing them on the label. So here we have supplement A and B ending up in that supplement C. If we're thinking about cross-contamination with food, this can have the same effect. It can be sourced from the raw supplier of the ingredients and it can come from the manufacturer. So in this study, multiple people were starting to get sick in New York. It was found that they had all started taking the same vitamin and mineral supplement. And when they looked further into that supplement, they found multiple different steroids within that vitamin supplement. And lastly, the third main risk is counterfeit supplements. This is from sourcing supplements from a third party distributor. It's so easy to Amazon Prime a supplement to your door in like 12 hours nowadays. But if it is from Amazon, you don't specifically know it is coming straight from that brand. Amazon is sort of trying to help this and show you what the storefront is from Amazon, but that isn't a guarantee. Now the supplement company bought a bunch of their products off of Amazon and tested them and found out they were fake. So any company can really copy and paste a label and put it on a supplement bottle and sell it through Amazon. This can either be your rice powder, so it could be ultimately nothing, or it could be something harmful. So what can we do to cut down on those risks? First, we are going to look at third-party certification. If a company decides they want a third-party certification on their product or one of these logos on that label, they will contact these companies and they'll have to pass, for the most part, three main tests. They will have to make sure they'll have good manufacturing practices and clean their machines well. They will then test their products against harmful heavy metals, general for your health and safety. And then third, they're going to pass a test for banned substances for the World Anti-Doping Agency. Their list is a little bit different from your guys's, but it's a great starting point for you to find supplements that have at least been certified to not contain those supplements. Their products are batch and lot tested, so it isn't a guarantee. They aren't going to test every single product. So these supplements, while they are safer, aren't completely safe. In the world of college athletics we are in today, I thought I would mention NIL. This athlete was advertising this Dr. Tennant's Restore product. This is an ad we got on our own Facebook pages. When we look a little bit further into the supplement list, we find colostrum, which is a source of IGF-1, which is banned for the peptide hormones and analogs drug class. Just because you have an NIL deal with somebody does not necessarily mean that you are okay to take that product, and you still will be responsible for what is in your body. So I know I'm going to say this multiple times today, but the NAIA, drug-free sport, and FDA do not approve any dietary supplements. So what are we seeing in a lot of the supplements that you guys are sending us these days? Top categories are pre-workout and energy, protein powder and creatine, and vitamin, mineral, immune health. And then those top high risk categories are categories that are found to have a lot of adulteration and cross contamination with them. So that's weight gaining, bodybuilding, thermogenic weight loss, and sexual enhancement products. When we are going through these supplements and tagging concerning ingredients, these are the top 20 that we have found in the past year. If we look, we see caffeine, guarana, and green tea, all caffeine and sources of caffeine and stimulants. We also see deer antler, velvet, and colostrum, which I just mentioned was banned under that peptide hormones and analogs drug class. And then we also see multiple different sources of other banned stimulants in smephrine, Advantor Z, citrus-aurantium, and dendrobium. Caffeine. Ultimately, caffeine is a banned stimulant. Caffeine can be found in multiple different sources of drinks that we are having today. Ultimately, coffee is a nutritional beverage. So while it does have caffeine in it, it doesn't follow under the same dietary supplements that we are talking about today. Ultimately, there's caffeine is banned on a threshold, so that you can have it up to a certain extent, but there's no real variable or no real way to know what amount of caffeine is going to trigger that drug test. So we consider anything over 300 milligrams a serving to be a high level of caffeine. This has more to do with health and safety than anti-doping, but it's always great to be cognizant of how much caffeine you are consuming. As we can see here, that our American Heart Association and CDC recommend staying under 400 milligrams a day. That may seem like sort of a lot, but if we are consuming caffeine in a couple different settings every day, it can add up. So if I was to have a coffee as soon as I get up, get my juices flowing for the day, and then I have a morning lift, so I have pre-workout right before that, so I can try and optimize that lift. This pre-workout only has 175 milligrams a serving, which is ultimately lower than most pre-workouts we are looking at these days. And then I have an Alani before my afternoon practice so I can get my homework done before the end of the day. Just those three products get me at 475 milligrams of caffeine. That is ultimately a high amount of caffeine, but it can also cause these adverse health effects. I know that having more anxiety than is needed is not great for all of us. Celsius. Celsius itself is not banned. The NAIA does not ban individual products, but it does ban ingredients within the products. So I know I've said it a couple times. The Celsius has green tea, guarana, and caffeine in it. Those sources of caffeine are banned, but individual products are not. Creatine is a very popular dietary supplement right now. It is not banned. It is so popular because it has a lot of really nice claims following behind it. It claims to increase your fat-free mass, increase power. It claims to help recovery time and help your workouts be more explosive. It is also one of the most researched dietary supplements right now. Ultimately, creatine, the downside is that it is use it or lose it. If you are not consistently taking that creatine, you may not get those perceived benefits from it. Creatine is also something that we are finding you can either be a responder to or not a responder. So if you're not a responder, then it's ultimately not going to do anything for you. And again, with that lack of regulation, you don't know exactly what's going into it. Supco tested the top 6 most popular creatine gummies on the market to see what their level of creatine within them was. As we can see, those bottom 4 contained next to no creatine in them. So ultimately, those were just expensive gummies at that point. So you can think you're consuming one thing, but it's a completely different thing. If you happen to take a dietary supplement and it is contaminated with something or it contains a banned ingredient, sanctions do apply. I am sure you guys have seen this all before, but you get 365 days from the time of the test with loss of the competition season and then also eligibility for all other sports. And that second offense results in a loss of NAIA eligibility altogether. So let's look at a couple real world examples. Abby Raymond was a power lifter. Her dad's friend started a protein company, so his goal was to make protein powder that was all natural and organic with plant-based ingredients. She ended up testing positive shortly after she started taking this protein powder for Ostrin, which is not even legal to take for human consumption. So she was on the hook for consuming that supplement or that Ostrin, even though she did not realize she was taking it. Flavia was taking supplements that were intended to help her allergy symptoms like congestion and a stuffy nose. She ended up testing positive for oxylifren, a banned stimulant. This example is a great introduction to the idea that supplements are not regulated, but medications are. So it really just introduces that idea of risk or like considering the risks of a supplement that is not regulated and a medication that is regulated. So transitioning a little bit, what does sports nutrition have to do with supplements? We are all busy here. We are doing multiple practices a day, going to class. Ultimately, being busy as much as you all are leads to missed nutrition and missed meals. So, breakfast, lunches, maybe not having the best options when we're running through the dining hall, or even using protein powder and recovery shakes to help replace that meal. Not consuming enough nutrition does lead to lack of energy, um, not enough protein or carbs, and it can also lead to those cravings where you feel like you need to eat sweets a lot at night. Eating an adequate amount of food increases your energy, performance, speed, mental focus, which helps academics. It helps decrease recovery time, mood and sleep, risk of injury. Um, you'll notice all of these things are things that are advertised for dietary supplements. Dietary supplements, again, are not regulated, but food is. So it's better to go for something that has a lot more science behind it in food than supplements. Looking at our plate, we see here we have sources of protein, we have veggies and grains to hit all of those main three macro groups. We've got a good amount of water on the side to keep us hydrated, and then sources of fiber throughout the plate as well. Really just trying to attain that good, even diet. Okay, I'm not gonna make you guys put this in the chat, but looking at this picture, how many sources of protein are you seeing? Okay, if you said 10, lucky day. Um, Throughout this page, we see a multitude of vegetarian options, meat options, and even vegan options. So there are ways to get protein across multiple different sources of food, not just meat, like we may generally think of. So what can we do to reduce this risk of supplements? Um, Please do not take supplements from your friends, even if they are also athletes, or supplements from your family members. Way too often, we see here that student athletes who are testing positive have taken smoothies from their friends or family members, and that has caused them a positive drug test. If you have medications, even if they're prescribed from a medical professional, run them through Access or your athletic trainer, and they can check it through Access. Just because something is prescribed does not necessarily mean it is not a banned medication. Um, Access and your athletic trainer will also give you more information on what to do if that medication is banned. And then also trying to get all of your benefits from nutrition before moving on to supplements, and trying to choose the safer supplements with third-party certified supplements. Do not consume a supplement with at least checking what is on the label. Again, what's on the label doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's in the bottle, but it is at least a great place to start. So, what is the best way to get information on what to take and whether it is safe or not? You don't know what you don't know. You should be talking to people within your circle of care to get more information, athletic trainers, coaches, dietitians, or even calling us. Ultimately, we have a good sense on what the banned substance list is. Um, Seeking out information on the website or on the internet, while there is a lot of information, does not necessarily mean it is catered to you all. And then if you decide that you do want to take a supplement, or ask yourself what your goals are with the supplement, if you got it from a reliable spot, and then if you have explored food options to achieve those same goals. Ultimately, you are responsible for what is in your body. So you want to put yourself in the best place possible when it comes to that and making informed decisions. You all take supplements at your own risk. I feel like a broken record when I'm saying this, and you are responsible for what is in your body. I have mentioned this a couple of times. Drug-Free Sport Access is a free tool for you all to look up specific supplements. There are three simple steps. You're going to create an account, submit an inquiry, and then we at Access will and Drug-Free Sport will read everything on the label for that supplement and give it a risk level rating. The access code you can see on the bottom is NAIA Live 5. Risk levels are based on a risk level 1, 2, and 3. Risk level 1 means that there are no red flags when it comes to ingredients on the label or marketing. Risk level 2 is going to mean that it either contains caffeine or there are different ingredients or marketing that would cause us a red flag, such as a natural way to increase testosterone or something such as mimicking a medication, such as GLP-1s. And then lastly, that risk level 3 is going to be a supplement that specifically lists banned substances, and those will all be noted through that inquiry. Access is also your one-stop shop for your status of medications. You can just type in that medication inquiry, those active ingredients for your medications. This is immediate, so it doesn't have to run through us. If your medication is not there for some reason, you can also send a new medication through Access as well. The risk list is a database of supplements we know of that contain banned ingredients. That means they're either listed on the label, the ingredients listed are not legal dietary ingredients from the FDA, or the FDA has tested them and found that they are contaminated with banned substances. Just because a supplement is not on the risk list does not necessarily mean there are no banned ingredients within it. Access Speaks is sort of a deep dive into trending supplements and ingredients. Here we can see we have articles on Kratom, BPC 157, and SARMs, but this contains more than that. It has resources for vaping and nutritional labels versus dietary supplement labels. So going to Access Speaks is a great starting point for looking into those supplements instead of browsing the web, because there are a zillion options for anything you're looking into. We also have a broad range of recipes on Access. These were created with the idea that they are for student athletes. So whether you have limited resources such as limited food, limited cooking supplies, or limited time, they're intended to be fast and easy, but also be healthy sources to attain that proper nutrition you need as an athlete. We also have a broad range of videos on our YouTube and Instagram. Really just a good resource if you're trying to find anything specific and how it relates to you as a student athlete. If you want to find out more information from us or keep connected, here is our Instagram. We also do monthly emails. So if you're interested in getting an email, just one monthly that has to do with supplement or athlete health and wellness, this can range from creatine to skin cancer awareness to more information on alcohol and what it can do for athletic performance. These are all going to be here. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to look for questions in the chat. Great. They're all Sarah. If you have any questions, you can send them in now, but I know that there is a survey at the end that Sarah wanted to send out as well. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, I just want to open up. I think this is an interesting topic that I know since I've been in the NAI, we haven't had the pleasure of discussing, and I know it's something really important to our student athletes. So I'll just open it up. Do you guys have any questions regarding, the information that Megan covered, or about the NAI drug testing policy, or anything along those lines? So one of my parts of the job is to oversee all the drug testing and education in the NAI. So just as a reminder, our drug testing for us only takes place at the national championship level. That could be first, second rounds, or at the championship site. So we typically test, multiple sports throughout the year, and we vary those from year to year. So, that's typically our process. But do you guys have any questions around that?
I know you mentioned that there's no like individual products banned right now. Do you think it would ever like get to that point, or it would still just be like individual ingredients?
I think
Uh,
and Megan, go ahead and speak. I know from the NAI, I don't foresee us going that route. I know there for a while, I'm so glad that Megan covered it, that there's a rumor that the NAI banned Celsius. Um, and again, since Celsius, is a drink, as a product, it's considered, a supplement underneath our policy. And so again, the individual product wouldn't be banned. It would just be the specific substances within that, which for us is caffeine. And so for our threshold, you could have 2 Celsius in a day, and depending on how you metabolize that, you could test positive underneath our drug testing policy. So I can't see that, but I don't know. Megan, are you seeing anything throughout various associations?
no, I don't think there's any talk about that. I think there would be a lot of legal issues if it comes to banning specific products. So just the banning of the ingredients is the best all around way. And I think if we ban specific products, it would give an implication that products that aren't specifically banned are okay to take, which we wouldn't want.
I think it would also be pretty hard for us to keep up with all that as well. So just look at the explosion of energy drinks, right? I think back in the day it used to be Monster or Red Bull, and now you have hundreds of variations of what that can look like, and healthy energy drinks, right? So I think it would be hard for us to kind of navigate that. So it's just easier to ban substance, like specific ingredients, than it is like an actual product or a drink. That's a great question, Kinley. What else? Feel free to enter it in the chat too. I know we have large groups joining us, so while we're waiting on to see if there's additional questions, I want to share the page. So I know the NAI website is a lot, and it takes lots of quick clicks to get to various places. But if you just type in NAI banned substances or drug testing in the search bar, it will take you right here. So we do have a web page dedicated. So again, the Access website is on here. How to log in, all that information is located. Our dietary supplement fact sheet, which Drug Free Sport International created for us. Then we also have our specific banned substances, which I included that link into the chat as well. And then there are some additional modules through prevention strategies that you can take around drug testing. Again, these would be for if your school wants to pay for them, they aren't free anymore. But then there's also like, what happens at a national championship? What does drug testing look like? What is that notification? If you're on a medication, and say you're on an ADHD medication, that would fall underneath the banned substance list. But if you're taking it, hopefully you have that on file with your institution. And then if you want to, you can go ahead and fill out the medical exemption form and get all that documentation up front. So that way, when you do go to a national championship, if you are selected, you do test positive, you could submit a medical exemption. And then the National Drug Testing and Education Committee will review that exemption, and they will either deny or approve. As long as you have all the things that are required, like it's medication that you've been on. You didn't just get it prescribed like after the fact, right? It came from a medical doctor, all these various components, which I think would be natural for someone that's been on ADHD meds for a long time. All these information it has been typically the Drug Testing and Education Committee has approved those. There's been a couple medical exemptions that haven't been approved, but those are more extreme cases of taking like testosterone or something else. So it just varies. But if you're on ADHD meds or depression medication or something else like that, I think it's important to go ahead and get that information filled out. So that way it's just on file in case, something does happen. So Megan, did you see the comment in?
Megan's Zoom crashed, so if she's,
Oh, okay.
I'll answer.
Anna, that's you.
I'll answer this one. So yeah, NSF certified supplements are not approved by the NCAA. They are, like Megan mentioned, they're a great alternative, first step option of a dietary supplement. But things can happen, and whether a supplement company uses a different raw material, maybe they're a whey protein and they change their raw material manufacturer, and that raw material manufacturer of whey protein also creates a SARM, or a selective androgen receptor modulator, which is banned. And cross-contamination happens. All sorts of things can happen in the manufacturing process and in the line. And so while one supplement can be certified by NSF, they don't test every single supplement that is sent out. And so those scenarios, hypothetical what ifs could happen. And so for that reason, the NAIA is not approving, they're not cleared, they're not okay to take. We say that they are a better option because we are knowledgeable. Obviously, athletes are taking dietary supplements, and so we want to give the tools to say this is a better route to take than just taking one that has never been tested. NSF does a pretty good job. I like to say, I don't like to put percentages to things, but typically we're looking I've spoken with their science people, like that 90 percentile guarantee of a dietary supplement. But like I said, those what ifs can happen, of course. And it's also not certified, not to compare, but most sport organizations out there, NAIA is not unique. Most sport organizations do not approve supplements that have been certified by NSF or any third party for that matter.
Thank you, Anna. That's great. How many student athletes typically test positive for banned substances? I think in the NAI, it definitely varies. So we definitely have a few throughout the year that test at the national championship, right? Again, conferences and institutions reserve the right to drug test as often whenever they want for regular season and conference play. Again, ours is just only at the national championship level. We typically have a couple that will test positive every year. I would say what we see the majority of is our student athletes testing positive for, I think, those very common medications that we see a lot of individuals taking. So some sort of anxiety, depression medication, some sort of ADHD meds. So those are typically ones that we see come back positive. We've had other positive cases, but they have not typically been the norm. We see more of those normal prescribed medications come back. It's a great question for you. Any other questions? All right, the last thing that I want to share, again, this is year 2 of the Life and Athletics Education Series, and this is something that we want to continue to bring to all NAIA student athletes. So I would just love for you to take a picture of the QR code and fill out the quick survey. We just want to hear your feedback. One on tonight's session, what you thought, but then also we'd love to hear your thoughts on any additional topics in education that you would like to see from us throughout the year. So our next one won't be until January. We know November and December is crazy, so we aren't going to try to book any of these sessions during that time. So we'll be back at the end of January together, and we'll be talking about 7 ways of leadership with Rob Miller, who has his own company around leadership, but he also still works at the NAIA as well. So we're excited to have Rob for us that session. And our final one will be in February with Dr. Katie Irvin, and she's going to talk about basically how to sell yourself, especially for those that are wrapping up your collegiate career and your time at your institution. And so moving forward with your future plans. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate Megan and Anna so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And you guys have a good rest of your evening. We'll talk soon.